start?
Yep.
Good evening, guys. Quick show of hands, who's a fan of sports? Pretty much everyone. Okay, me too. So these athletes that we watch all the time on a daily basis and often idolize, they make millions on millions, and I'm here to say that paying professional athletes these millions is an ineffective use of funds. Because one, other careers with the same amount, if not more, sacrifice, stress, and pressure are paid less. Two, society has needs that that amount of money can fund. And three, many of these athletes are not financially responsible with their earnings. So back to reason number one. Other careers with the same amount or if not more stress, sacrifice, and pressure are paid less. So for example, LeBron James, he probably has a lot of pressure trying to make the game-winning shot, but there's just as much pressure, if not more, with a surgeon performing, life-saving surgery. Another example for sacrifice, NBA players are gone away from their families for weeks maybe, but then you look at a U.S. soldier or any soldier, they're gone away for months, maybe years. Nick Schwartz, who wrote an article on the salaries, the average yearly salary for an NBA player is $5.15 million, while the average career earning is $24.7 million. The average yearly salary for a U.S. soldier is $32,000. Reason number two, society has needs that amount of money can fund. There are people, for example, there are people struggling with their cancer payments. In an article called Press Releases, it talks about the difficulty that cancer patients, survivors, and their families face in affording needed health care and paying for other basic necessities such as food and heat. Another example would be funding organizations such as Volunteers of America that help the homeless. Their website describes their causes. They work to prevent and end homelessness through a range of support services, including eviction prevention, emergency services, transitional housing, and permanent affordable housing. Organizations like those basically run off donations. They need people donating and getting money in to be able to function. And so reason number three, many athletes are not financially responsible with their earnings anyway. Let's take a look at Mike Tyson, for example. In an article written by Maureen Callahan called How Pro Athletes Lose Everything, we read about how Mike Tyson tore through $300 million on multiple homes, cars, jewels, and even pet tigers. And then in 2003, he files for bankruptcy. And not to put NBA players on the spot again, but 60% of NBA players file for bankruptcy only 5 years after retirement. Yeah, we learn about that in an article written by Andre Kachurian. I probably said that wrong. And so in review, paying professional athletes millions is an ineffective use of funds. One, because there are other careers with the same amount, if not more, stress, sacrifice, and pressure that are paid less. Two, society has needs that those millions of dollars can help fund. And three, many athletes are not financially responsible with their earnings anyways. Thank you.
All right, Jarod, I think I mentioned to you in the outline, you really have a value claim here more than a claim of fact. And although I can see where you're trying to finesse it a little bit into a claim of fact, I'm not sure that you're entirely successful at that. We're rendering a judgment here about one set of professions being more valuable than another, whether or not there's adequate return. I think if you argued, for instance, that the professional athletes are paid an outsized proportion to their impact on the game, for instance, that might have been a better way to go. For example, if you could show that LeBron James doesn't bring in $100 million worth of business to the NBA, and so as a consequence, paying him that much is inaccurate or a bad investment because you're overpaying him for the return. I think that would make a little bit more sense. There's a lot of stuff that talks about, forget the athletes, that talks about actors, for instance. I saw every year there's one of those studies that says who's the actor that gets paid the most, that has the least amount of return for what they're paying them. And you need something like that to show, for example, that people aren't getting the return on dollar for investment. The comparison to other jobs is definitely a value argument. The notion that surgeons or soldiers are worthwhile, I don't disagree with. However, it's a value claim as opposed to an issue of fact. I'm not exactly sure. The soldiers, for instance, we almost certainly don't pay as much as we should, but there are other compensations and benefits that go for them. Surgeons, my guess is there aren't a lot of surgeons who are doing that badly, so we don't have any data on that one. So I think that that's a little bit problematic there. The third point that you have on the argument that the athletes just bungle their money anyway, I think you could keep that one, put it in with that first point that I was talking about where it said they're not getting as much return on it as they should, and you could maybe make an argument that says that the financial system for paying athletes in professional sports is problematic, or it's harmful, or it's having some negative consequence, and that would be maybe a way to make it more of a claim of fact that's going on. All right, thank you.